Hi, welcome to the News Reporter's Guide to a Police Shooting. Today we're going to be answering the question of under what circumstances do the police move a body, and in what circumstances do they leave a body in place. The intended audience for this video and this series of videos are news reporters and members of the media who are in a position to have to report on a police shooting and need background information in order to do their job accurately and fairly. My name is Andy Cooley. I'll be your host. Since 1985, I've represented police departments and police officers throughout Washington State in all sorts of police cases. Many of them are fatal shooting cases. I represent officers in state and federal court when they get sued. I work on coroner's inquest trials that we do here in Seattle, King County area, and then I also help police agencies and police officers in the immediate aftermath of police shootings, whether somebody is killed or not. One of the questions that comes up after a police shooting is under what circumstances are the police supposed to move a body if the person has actually died? In the aftermath of a police shooting, the police officers who aren't trained trauma surgeons and aren't trained paramedics in most cases call for qualified people to come and give emergency first aid. And those are usually paramedics. Paramedics can often make a decision at the scene that a person has died and that there will be no purpose in transporting them away from the scene of the shooting to a hospital because there's no further first aid or life-saving treatment that can be given. In that case, the body of the suspect, the subject, is part of a crime scene. And the police have been trained and taught not to disturb a crime scene. They've been taught to leave evidence intact. They've been taught not to remove evidence from a scene. And so the question comes up in these cases, well, why don't they put a sheet over the body? Why don't they put some kind of shroud around the body? Why don't they do more to preserve sort of the dignity of that person who's been shot and killed? And that's a legitimate question, and I'm here to try to explain some of the issues that surround that. First off, the people involved directly in the shooting are in most circumstances not going to be investigating the shooting they were involved in. Most agencies task the shooting or officer-involved shooting investigation to either a specialized group within a police agency, if it's a really large agency like a Los Angeles PD or New York PD, or they will have an outside agency, a neighboring police department, come in and perform the investigation. Part of the investigation is to examine the location of that body, to examine physical and trace evidence in the vicinity of that body. It can be everything from blood splatters to shell casings and the like. And it's vitally important for those investigators to be able to do their job that the evidence is disturbed as little as possible. And so everyone involved in the aftermath of an officer-involved shooting understands that principle and realizes that taking steps that outsiders might view as showing respect to the body might be viewed by others as disturbing the scene, disturbing the evidence. So things like putting a sheet or a blanket over the dead body, while it might seem to be a common sense thing from untrained outsiders, from a police standpoint, that could be destroying vital trace evidence. So there could be powder or soot deposits from the firearm that might be disturbed if you put a blanket or a sheet on top of somebody who's been shot. You might, in the process of getting close enough to perform that task, you might step in puddles of fluids or blood. You might kick or accidentally disturb the resting location of evidence from the firearms, like shell casings and the like. And so it's very hard for people to take any steps to preserve sort of the dignity of that body without running the real and sincere risk that they're going to disturb evidence. And most departments, when they have an officer-involved shooting and they call in an outside agency to do that, that takes time for them to appear, for them to assess the scene, figure out what evidence needs to be assessed, and then they can begin to take steps to set up some kind of cover or concealment around the body so that it can't be viewed by onlookers. It has never been my experience that the police don't care after they've shot somebody, and it's never been my experience that they have no respect for the body of the person that's been shot, but rather the times that they've left the body in place has always been because they're interested in making sure there's an accurate and fair investigation and that none of the evidence is disturbed. So I hope this explains why in the aftermath of a police shooting, there may not be steps to, quote, preserve the dignity of the body, end quote, and that's usually because they're trying to preserve evidence and not because of any callous or uncaring regard for that person. Thanks for watching.